The undrafted rookie from last year now has the chance to be in the rotation for a winning team. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another player preview. In this video, we're going to be focusing on Trendon Watford. Now, earlier this morning, I dropped a video on Shaedon Sharpe, and I'm going to try and drop the final 7 previews or so in the next couple of days, so definitely hit that subscribe button and hit that bell button so you can be notified when we drop something. You're just going to have to binge watch them over the next couple of days, over the rest of September. So, after that, we're going to have daily content, so just once a day. It's not going to be flooded. Just got behind on these videos and want to get them out. So we're focusing on Trendon Watford today. He has a legitimate chance to be the backup center for the Portland Trail Blazers, and he brings an interesting skill set to the table. He was one of the bright spots in the Blazers' tanking season last year, and here was his statistical production. For the season, here was Watford's numbers. He actually got some run early in the season in some meaningful games. The first game he got run in was a game I was actually at, and on the season he played in 48 games. Now he started 10 of them, and here were his numbers as a starter. This is a phenomenal stat line: 15 points per game, over 6 rebounds, 3.5 assists, efficient from 2, solid from the free throw line. He just needs to raise that 3-point percentage, and we'll talk about that right now, as that's the first thing we're going to break down in terms of his offensive game. If Watford can become a better 3-point shooter, it makes it a lot easier for him to get minutes just being a floor spacer, especially as a small ball center. He's not going to be able to compete too well with some of the bigger centers in the league, but if he can stretch it out to 3, then it becomes a problem for some of the bigger centers in the league. Where Watford's value comes from is his ability to put the ball on the floor and make plays for both himself and others. He has a good float shot in between, and this Blazers team is filled with playmaking, and I think it will be an emphasis to have guys on the court that can make plays, that can pass the ball, they'll move the ball, they can attack when they need to, and they can play connected. If you don't have any weak links out there from a playmaking perspective, then it's a lot harder to defend you, and having a guy at the center spot potentially off the bench that can put the ball on the floor and play make is definitely an asset, and that's what could help make up for a lack of size in regards to Trendon Watford. It's just difficult if defenders don't have to run out at him and run him off the 3-point line if he's not shooting the 3 ball well enough. I had a video earlier this offseason which looked at one skill I wanted each Blazer to improve. For Trendon Watford, I said he needs to get more comfortable shooting his 3-point ball faster. He's fine when he has time to shoot, and maybe he will have time to shoot on an NBA floor filled with playmakers, but when he has to rush a shot or shoot off the dribble in rhythm, then it's difficult for him. He definitely has a slower release, and he missed a lot of shots in Summer League when he had to speed that up. Offensively this season, I think you'll see Watford used as a bit of a grab and go guy. He can rebound and then he can bring the ball up the floor, and you can have guys playing off that, especially if you have guys like Shaedon Sharpe, Keon Johnson, Gary Payton II, maybe Nasir Little staggered with the bench lineup, Anthony Simons spotting up in transition or cutting even. That's a lot of athletes out there on the court next to a Trendon Watford if he's pushing the ball, and having a center that can do that and then make the right pass or make the right play, and guys that can cut and finish strong around the rim because they're athletic, then you have a bench lineup that can play at a fast tempo. They don't have to take time finding the point guard to outlet the ball to them. Most guys on the bench should be able to grab and go, and that's going to be the identity of the bench unit. The other guy that Trendon Watford will be battling with for backup center minutes is Drew Eubanks. He doesn't have that capability, so that is where Trendon Watford has an advantage, being able to potentially fit in with the identity of the bench lineup and being able to push the pace and bring the ball up the court himself. It'll also be interesting to see if he and Gary Payton II run some inverted pick and rolls. The Golden State Warriors last season ran a lot of pick and rolls with Gary Payton II as a roll man. We'll have Gary Payton's player preview right after this one, but Watford's a big that can handle the ball and pass. Gary Payton is 6'2", but is really good as a roll man for his size, and he's a lob target, so you could have some inverted actions with the big being the ball handler and the guard being the roll man. That could be fun to watch, and defenses might not be prepared to guard that sort of action in a bench unit. You could even see Shaedon Sharpe be the roll man if he plays, and that could be a way to potentially get him easy buckets. If teams run drop scheme, Watford likes getting to that little 10 to 12 foot floater, and he's shown that he's capable of hitting it, but he's also just very crafty and is able to use space that he's given and then use his body to carve out more and get buckets like like that. Outside of that, I don't think you're going to see many plays ran for Watford. I think he's just kind of a glue guy, but I think he's the type of guy that will look better playing next to better players. He looked great as a starter last year for a tanking team, but his game fits that of a guy that just plays off others and can make plays for others. If he doesn't have much talent out there on the floor next to him, it's a lot harder to do that. So I expect Trendon Watford to be very solid on the offensive end this year because he has better talent around him. Now let's take a look at his defensive game, and this is where I was really impressed with Trendon Watford last year. He wasn't tabbed as a good defensive player coming into the league, but his IQ is what really impressed me. He is a smart defensive player, and he's able to make up for that lack of size and even a lack of athleticism by just getting to the spot at the right time, helping quick enough, rotating quick enough. He seems to see offensive plays developing pretty quickly, and that was impressive for a rookie, especially an undrafted one who only spent 2 years in college. Assuming the bench unit's going to try and force a lot of turnovers and play fast, I think Trendon Watford can be a part of that. And it's not even that he's super quick, he just recognizes things quickly. He doesn't have to think about where to be, he rotates to the right spot, it just comes naturally to him, and I love seeing it. I don't trust him switched out onto some of the quicker small forwards in the league, and definitely not guards, but I don't think he's a guy that will necessarily get absolutely abused in those situations. That's something that I'll be watching for this year, but then also for how smart he is, he has to meet offensive players pretty much outside the paint because he doesn't jump the highest and doesn't have the greatest length. So there is some question marks of him in rim protection situations, and that is also something that I'll be looking for this year. But as a team defender and a guy that can execute the defensive scheme correctly, he's that guy. Now let's look at some statistical goals that I have for Trendon Watford next season. The first two are efficiency goals, that is to shoot 60% from 2 and 33% from 3. He shot 58-ish% from 2 last season, so this is a slight uptick, but playing next to better players, I expect him to be even a little bit more efficient inside the arc than he was last year. And then 33% from 3 would be quite the jump, but I want him to knock down 3-point shots. He did look like a little bit better of a shooter in summer league, so I'm hopeful that he's making progress in that regard. But then also, I want him to shoot this efficiency on 2 3-point attempts per 36 minutes. If he shoots 33%, but he's shooting 1 every 3 games, he's not a floor spacer. That doesn't really matter. Defenses don't have to respect that. I think he needs to shoot about 33% on 2 attempts per 36 in order to be respected a little bit as a floor spacing threat. The rest of the numbers are per 36 based, and that is for him to average 15 points per game, which might seem a little bit steep, but he averaged more than that last year, so 15 points per game feels right to me. And then on top of that, 9 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game, and then I want to see him get 2.5 steals plus blocks per game. He got 2.2 last year, so this is a slight uptick, but all these numbers are pretty much in range of some of the production that he was giving last year. Obviously, that is context dependent. Playing for a tanking team and putting up numbers isn't the same as playing a role as a backup center for a winning team and putting up numbers at the same rate. So I'm very curious to just see the statistical production that Trendon Watford provides this season. That wraps up the player preview for Trendon Watford. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Would you have him be the backup center over Drew Eubanks? I talked a little bit more about that positional battle in Drew Eubanks' player profile, so go check that out. But let me know what you think Watford's role should be. Let me know what you think he'll shoot from 3. Just give me your thoughts on T-Watt down in that comment section. Subscribe to Blazers Uprise Live. That's our second channel, link in the description box below. There's a playlist for player previews as well down there. And with that being said, I'm out of here. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.